Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to IDX Design Center celebration of World Industrial Design Day. I'm Paolo Obrera, and I will be your host for today. Now, we have an amazing program prepared for you, so please just sit back, relax, and of course, just tune in to our conversation about entering a brave new world with even braver design. Now, IDX Conversations offers an exclusive deep dive with some of the most influential figures in Philippine design. Together, we'll take a glimpse at how the field of industrial design in the Philippines began. We'll take a look at its history. And of course, we'll imagine and ponder its future and how we ought to move the industry forward into this new world. Now, before anything else, we'd like to invite none other than Undersecretary Abdul Ghani Makatoman of the DTI Trade Promotions Group to give everyone his welcoming message. Good morning, Yusek.
Good morning, Paulo, and very good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Department of Trade and Industry, I hope you are all well in these challenging times, as we have given a very loud wake-up call. The global coronavirus pandemic is radically altering our life. The current situation has entailed a deeper exploration of our relationship with what we surround ourselves with, including our relationship with objects. How fitting it is, then, that this year's celebration of the World Industrial Design Day is anchored on the theme Design for Everyday Life, recognizing the value and benefits of design on the products and services that make our lives easier and more efficient, which was originally meant to make time for the more important things in life. As a member of the World Design Organization, the Design Center of the Philippines joins in the celebration of the World Industrial Design Day. And as the Design Center reflects on the theme through the lens of the current global pandemic, the everyday things that serve to comfort us, bring us joy, increase our productivity, or provide a sense of stability during these uncertain times, which objects are essential now but soon lose relevance. What role should design play in creating value to these objects so that they are future-proof, new normal ready? Or more importantly, can this design object go beyond aesthetics and address real-world problems? With this, the Design Center of the Philippines brings you its celebration of the World Industrial Design Day through the IDX Conversations to offer ideas that will spark a discourse on how to harness the power of design as a force for good within our reality of physical distancing. IDX is a virtual coffee chat edition with the country's industrial design greats, vanguards of their respective generations. Al DeLance and Kenneth Cobonpoy will take you through their design journeys. They will share how they use the power of design to respond to the challenges at certain points in their careers. Those moments and the current moment we are in, after all, are made for the design mind to navigate and to thrive through stressors, shocks, volatility, noise, mistakes, faults, attacks, or failures. and to come out stronger as we look towards historical example of how design solved real world problems and took us from one era to the next. We must also remember that brave new world we are stepping into must be matched by braver design. We are off to a great start with your inputs for disenyong pang-araw-araw, disenyong ating kinabukasan. Design centers, videos powered by crowdsourcing from our socially networked community and curated by the meticulous eye of Marian Pastoroses. Today, we continue our conversation on how best to unleash our full potential as design leaders and shape a design-led tomorrow. May the ideas sparked today serve as your beacon of hope as you rise up to the countless challenges that are sure to come. Rest assured that the Design Center of the Philippines, of course, alongside with the whole of the Department of Trade and Industry, will continue to work hand in hand with you in meeting whichever moment might arise. And to a brave new world with braver design. Thank you.
All right, a huge thank you to USEC for his very warm welcome. That definitely gave us all a very exciting look into what's in store for us today, this Monday morning. And I think USEC has really set the stage for our discussion, for our conversation today. You know, we are our everyday life has really changed over the last 3.5 months. And I think, you know, that's the starting point for most of the conversation, for all of the conversation that we're going to have today. And really, we're going to take a look at how design is stepping up to that challenge and how it is an essential part of how we are going to move forward. And we're really going to sort of take a look at its role in how we move forward and get over this little bump in the road, so to speak. Now, as mentioned by Undersecretary Makatoman, IDX is Design Center's celebration of World Industrial Design Day, an international day of observance declared by the World Design Organization, which aims to increase awareness of the profession of industrial design. And it also champions, of course, the power of design to strengthen economic, social, cultural, and environmental development as well. Now, this is the agency's 4th year to celebrate WIDD, and it is their first time celebrating it virtually. It's I think for many of us, going to be a first, actually. And from the looks of it, our first poll of the day is sort of in tune with that. Let's see what kind of results we've got going here in terms of our poll. Now, we're asking you guys, how many online events have you attended since the lockdown started? Now, a lot of you said this is the very first one, believe it or not. 19%. Most of you actually were, for most of you, this is the first online event. About 2 to 3 weekly says 28%. And a staggering more than half, 54% says they've lost count. I'm sure everybody's attended endless webinars, endless Zoom meetings, endless online engagements. And that really is the way we're rolling with things. That really is the way we're sort of adjusting to the new normal. And that's a phrase that I think we've thrown around quite a bit, and we'll throw it around some more as we dive into this conversation that we've got. Now, we want to say thank you to our event partners. This virtual celebration wouldn't be complete without our amazing partners: Adobo Magazine, the word on creativity; the Benildian Industrial Designers, or BIND, the De La Salle College of Benilde's official organization for industrial design students. We'd like to say thank you for your support. Now, this year, we're called to celebrate the amazing power of design for everyday life. This is our theme. And we're here to reflect on our relationships with the objects that shape our everyday with the unique lens of the COVID-19 pandemic. Things are really quite different nowadays. Now, to inspire as well as challenge Philippine designers and creatives to use their talent and skills to design for a better world, we have a message from World Design Organization President, Mr. Srinivasan.
Dear global designers, greetings from WDO on this special day, namely the World Industrial Design Day. We dedicated June 29th to our industrial design community to celebrate our existence and enjoy our profession. For the past 60 plus years, World Design Organization has been promoting our profession of industrial design across the globe. Today, we stand tall as the only global organization that connects education, promotional, professional, corporate, and municipalities to offer a common international platform that shares global knowledge on what design can do through several well-crafted programs such as World Design Capital, World Design Talks, World Design Impact Prize, World Design Corporate Circle, Young Designer Circle, World Design General Assembly, and Interdesign. In addition to these programs, we also work very closely with UN agencies such as UN Women, UN Habitat, as well as International Space Station, National Labs, to exploring what design can do to add value to their existing programs. Each year, we choose a theme for celebrating the Industrial Design Day. And this year, the topic is Design for Everyday Life, which celebrates small things that may have been overlooked. WDO stands for Design for a Better World that spans everyday objects to larger systems. Therefore, celebrating small things is very pertinent in our current situation. I wish your local event a grand success, and don't forget to share your cool pictures of the event that you are celebrating today. With these words, I would like to wish you the best and say goodbye. Thank you.
And that was the World Design Organization President, Mr. Srini Srinivasan. Wow, guys, can you imagine 60 years of championing design? Imagine that. That's no wonder that the whole world is celebrating WIDD, or World Industrial Design Day, with the World Design Organization on this day, and with such a relevant theme that hopes to celebrate the small everyday things that we may have overlooked or taken for granted. It really makes you pause and think. You know, in my opinion, successful design is when you actually don't give many things too much of a second thought. They just become part of your everyday life. I mean, with the new normal, I think I've spent a ton of time on my study, on my desk, on my chair, and you really sort of appreciate the details in terms of proper ergonomics, the comfort. How long can you actually sit at this study? You know, these are the things that are invisible to you when you use these objects. And I think successful design makes these factors invisible. So if it doesn't call too much attention to itself, then I think it's a successful design in that sense. And obviously, for most of us who will be spending a ton of time at home with everyday objects, design is a very important role to play, as we'll see in our discussion throughout our program. Now, we had another poll where we asked you which sector you belong to. And drum roll, here's our results. From which sector do you come from? Design, 57%, which is not surprising. Obviously, we're celebrating World Industrial Design Day, and it's probably going to draw in a lot of people in the field of design. We've got a lot of people in the creative field, 15%. Businessmen, or in the field of business and SMEs, 7%. While we have a very mysterious 22% from others. I'd like to hear what those others account for. We've got our live comments going. Please do join the conversation. This is, after all, an open conversation for all. Do drop in your comments. We'd like to see what you guys think. Join the conversation and let us know if there are any particular topics or questions that we may address throughout the program. So we're kicking things off now, moving right along the program. And up next, we have a legend, a designer, a creative, and businessman all rolled into one. He is the founder of Designs Linea, one of the founders and first directors of the Design Center of the Philippines. And for many designers, this man is an absolute titan, a real hero. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have the Philippines' first industrial designer, Mr. Al de Lange.
I'm Al de Lange. I am privileged to have been the first industrial designer in the Philippines. I was at Vanderbilt. I didn't enjoy math at all. I was the only engineer taking sculpture at that time. There was a gentleman from another school found out I was not happy in school and said, I can get you into the Cleveland Institute of Art. That's where they get car designers for Ford. I enjoyed my stay in Cleveland. Although when I was there, I sort of supported myself. I worked for 4 hours a day, cutting grass, raking leaves, all this kind of stuff. When I came back, there was hardly any industry to speak of, so I really didn't know what I was gonna do. I ended up in UST as an instructor because they said they wanted to set up the course of industrial design. Next school year started, I had over 100 students in my class, and they had no seats, no tables. It was just a standing around. I said, Father, I have too many students. They don't even have seats. Oh, we'll worry about that later on. I said, Father, under this condition, I cannot teach. I resign. Although I enjoyed teaching, my real breakthrough movement, it was a fiberglass car that opened a lot of doors for me. It was a car a friend of mine and I worked on in school. There were two people from General Motors who were scouting around the school. And they were very curious about where did we see this design. We thought it up, we put it together. I said, tell you what, why don't you come down to Detroit next week? They took us to one of the prototype shops. They opened the doors and they brought out it was the tail end of the racing Corvette, and it was exactly like our car. They asked, how are you going to do all these projects? I said, tell you what, we'll help you, but just take photographs of the full process and see that we get it. So 2 weeks later, we got 2 crates from General Motors. It was full of fiberglass, resin. I was putting the finishing touches of my car. My visa had expired. I ran over to immigration and the guy was taking it out. You want to go home? You want to stay? I can give you a permit to stay if you want. Never entered my... I was waving the flag. I figured I learned something. I would try to introduce it, and I brought it back to the Philippines. And it got a lot of publicity. I got called DRB Marketing, and they said, how would you like to work for us? So I got hired as the director for design at DRB Marketing. The Rosario brothers they call it DRB Marketing. They had over 100 dealers, and we were the dealers for GE. We had our own line of cookware, refrigerators, TV sets, radios. I was under the office of marketing and plan out the years model, the types of stuff that I learned was something I didn't learn in school. We found out, for instance, that refrigerators in the Philippines served only one purpose. That was for water, cold water. So one of my requirements was that the shelves had to be able to fit bottle of rum. This kind of information, you don't learn in school. It was amazing. I designed a plastic radio, a portable radio, but I had to rethink the product all the way through. What will the market say about a plastic radio? Because plastic radio, you drop it, it breaks. Said, no, maybe in the olden days, now you can stamp on it and nothing's gonna happen. All our radios were pastel shades. The radio was successful, and then problem number 2 came. After a run of 25,000, we started to make some more. But by then, our die, instead of being made out of steel, was made of brass, softer, but cheaper. That's the reason we were able to afford the radio right away. It used to become all scratched up, and we spent more time bump the crutches out. The radio was so successful. The BIR was there asking questions about our imported radio. Not all made here, designed here. Local yan, local. Design-wise, I love the radio. So I talked to Mr. Rosario and I said, I'd like to buy out the design department. And the other condition was I was not supposed to design any competing product. When I moved to my mom's place, my front yard became the workshop. What happened was some friends would, you're not too busy, can you make my desk and work on my den? Before you know it, the American embassy was knocking at my door. It got bigger and bigger and bigger. I had to move. I found a furniture factory a couple of blocks from my place. I rented the place. The only problem with that place was whenever it rained, it would get flooded. Yeah.
But if the visitors wanted to see their furniture in process, they had to put on high boots so they could wade through the water.
My biggest problem was I didn't know how to charge. I didn't know what I was worth. I was very involved with the furniture industry. I was assigned to head the wood sector, and Arturo came along and asked me to. The first lady came back from London and saw the London Design Center. So she wanted one too. So Obi Mapua and I sat nights, and so we laid out the design center. I had the workshops at the design center, and I loved playing around there and all that. This was what I was trying to get. It was more like craftsmen designers. I love collecting catalogs. So I had all these catalogs. I had one called Broadhead Garrett. Because from there, I picked up full cabinets full of cabinets in the workshop that contained equipment for jewelry, for electronic. I was like a kid in a candy shop. There was one trip I did for the design center. Arturo said, you know what kind of products can we do in the Philippines that hasn't not been done? I was mostly around San Francisco. I'd go into a store and look at something and buy it. I said, we can do that. One of my big discoveries was REI. All these tents and backpacks and all, they're all fabric, I went to one store in San Francisco. It was a dollhouse shop and furniture and cups, all in miniature, maliit. So I started buying like crazy. We put up an exhibit with all this stuff.
So people could get ideas. Ideas.
Yeah, open up ideas and what could be done. When I was at Brussels, I was there to set up an exhibit. So the ambassador calls me up and says, how was the exhibit? I said, sir, it was a disaster. The fair that we attended was a selling fair. We shouldn't have been there because we shouldn't have exposed the pricing and all kinds of
export
stuff. Export prices or whatnot. And when they expected to be able to buy it. And so you talk like a businessman. Sir, I am a businessman. At least I impressed the ambassador right away. Playing in the workshop. Experimenting. I was designing a kiln made of ceramic fiber, but I was using waste oil from recycled oil.
When we always make furniture, we tried to show the natural beauty of them, not just jazzing them up. Yeah, that killed the simplicity of the wood, of the finish, of the leather that was in slings. And
that's why I have always been attracted to Scandinavian design. Simple. I'm Lange. I am privileged to have been the first industrial designer in the Philippines.
All right, that was very, very inspiring. That was the country's first ever industrial designer, everyone. How awesome was that to hear from Mr. Lange? A little bit of a look back on industrial design here in the country, its history, where it all began. and how unique I think the conditions are here in the Philippines. We certainly have come a long way since the beginnings, where Mr. De Lange was describing, virtually, industrial design didn't exist as industrial design here in the country until he came along and sort of kicked things off. So we have a lot of gratitude due to Mr. De Lange for sort of starting design here in our country. Now, as we slowly step into the new normal, we look back at how technology has helped us cope during the lockdown. It's time to reveal the results of our other poll question, which has been your go-to app during the lockdown. And we have some interesting results here. Interestingly enough, we have TikTok with 5% of you saying TikTok was very instrumental for them. Instagram, 66%. We love our pictures, of course. Twitter, 13%, probably to keep up with the news. And interestingly enough, 17% answered Shopee, right? For everybody who went out there and did a little bit of shopping, bought some everyday items, I suppose. Thank you for joining that little poll that we have. Very interesting insights on what's going on. Again, we've got our live comments function up on there. Please do join the conversation. Let us know if there are any questions that you want to throw our way, and we'll see if we can get that addressed throughout our program. Now, we'd like to say thank you to our event partners. Before we move on to the next part of the program, let me take a quick moment to thank our amazing event partners. Like I said, Adobo Magazine, they are the word on creativity. And the Benildian Industrial Designers, or BIND, the De La Salle College of St. Benil's official organization for industrial design students. All right, our next industrial design hero is Kenneth Cobonpue, the founder of his globally acclaimed namesake brand, Kenneth Cobonpue. Well, today we'll be hearing about how he thrived in uncertainty with a design mind. I'm very, very excited to have a chat with Kenneth, one of my big idols. Kenneth Cobonpue is a multi-awarded industrial designer hailing from Cebu. He is a UNESCO creative, or rather Cebu is a UNESCO creative city for design, world-renowned for his designs that integrate innovative handmade production processes. Now, Kenneth makes objects that he considers, consider aesthetics and social impact in equal measure, ensuring that the world is as bettered as it is beautified with every creation. That's a very interesting and appropriate, I think, design ethos. So we'd like to welcome Kenneth Cobonpue to our discussion this morning. And there he is, the man himself. Good morning, Kenneth.
Hi, good morning, Paulo, and hello to everyone tuning in.
This is a great program that we've got here. Yeah, I know. Absolutely. I have to say, I think we're all very jealous of your background there. It looks like you're enjoying the outdoors, enjoying the sun. And it's certainly a great way to be this Monday morning.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, they all say we have to spend more time outdoors. And
Right.
yeah, this is what I'm doing when it's not too hot. It's raining out here it's rained here in Cebu.
Okay.
And now it's just, the weather's perfect.
Well, after the, we always say after the rain, there is a rainbow, and surely there is a rainbow in this very unusual and challenging time we find ourselves in, Kenneth. World Industrial Design Day 2020, our theme for this year is Design for Everyday Life. And as we said, life as we know it has turned completely inside out and outside in the last 3.5 months. I think we're all sort of scratching our heads, trying to make heads or tails of really, what to make of this unusual situation that we find ourselves in. And we're racking our brains on solutions really to help protect frontliners. But that's a very immediate need, I think. I think beyond that, we're looking at how to move forward in terms of everyday life. And when we talk about that, we're talking about interacting with the world that we live in. I think it's very interesting and fitting. When you said you operate by the principles of bettering and beautifying the world all at the same time in equal measure, I suppose. How do we move forward? What's your view on where we are and what role design has to play in from this point forward, going forward?
Okay. Honestly, Paulo, I think designers all over the world are kind of struggling with what their role is in today's pandemic. And so far, all the solutions I've seen in terms of product, from this little acrylic, the silly things that go over your head in restaurants, I don't think that's going to become the norm anytime soon. And I think aside from the obvious designing PPEs and medical equipment and in industrial things, I think that designers are still trying really very hard to see what we can do. Of course, it's more obvious when it comes to interior design or architecture. I think for industrial designers, for products, we're still trying to find our voice. And I think it's going to be very challenging in the next month to see what people come up with.
Right. I just want to react on the point you're making there. I mean, we are now living in we're rolling with the punches, so to speak. I mean, here we are. I'm in an unused room in my home, which is now turned into a room / broadcast studio. You've found a great space to relax and at the same time come to us and join the conversation from a little corner of your space, which I'm sure at when it began was not really designed for as a space to be used for both unwinding at home and at the same time taking into consideration the fact that a lot of our work now happens from the home. Reacting to your previous statement where you said interior designers and architects are probably top of the list in terms of adjusting to what people are in need of at this time. Obviously, a lot of work is going to happen from the home. Our homes are going to adjust to that. Perhaps in the sense of industrial design, where we take a look at everyday objects. I sort of made a mental note to mention in reaction to USEC. Everyday things have an important role to play in our lives, and like I said, I found that I've spent much of my time sitting at my desk, and I think do you think that the seats that we sit on, the study tables that we use now, the way computers are designed, are these going to change considering the fact that we now are going to be spending majority of our time sitting at a desk trying to conduct business from home?
Yeah, I think definitely that's going to change. And I think the challenge now for designers is to design products which allow you to actually go in and out of, go in and out into a communal space and retreat again back into an interior space, into your own personal space.
Right.
I've had some designs like that. I don't know if we can run some of the slides here.
Right. Yeah,
there's some things which I designed which have, okay. There's some things that I've designed over the years that kind of, well, this is the, this is this bed here I put here. This is kind of like what I feel the situation is right now. It's we're floating. Everything is on freeze and waiting until we get to our destination. Let's go on to the next slide, please. And that's me. That's how I spend most of my time around here. I just go, transfer between different corners of the house. It's really boring to just stay in one space. This is their workspace. So in a lot of things that I design, they're actually quite very personal, like this leaf sofa here with a big palm here. So this makes it difficult for somebody to go up close to you, and that's how design can change. We do a lot of, because of our weaves, our textures, we can do a lot of screens, like that little people screen there on the right side. It's tall, and I think we're going to see a lot of these products coming from the Philippines in the future. This panels, this dividers, that yeah, that allow people to space themselves from each other.
It's certainly a far more attractive solution, I think, than like you said, those strange little acrylic shields that we seem to be preoccupied with at the moment. It's by far a much more beautiful and beautiful way to live when you've got beautiful things around you. I think we're now in a time when we've all sort of been dealing with the feeling of one being trapped in our homes, but at the same time feeling attached to the feeling of security that walls and an enclosed space give you. Are there any design ideas that come off this idea of? Because I just wanted to sort of bounce off that idea you have of creating canopies or spaces where you feel safe, and I think that's one feeling that we sort of want to evoke in some of the designs that we're moving towards.
Yes. In fact, here I wanted to show some of the things that we've come up with even before the pandemic that are suitable. If we can run some of the slides there again.
There you go.
Like this workspace. Yeah, this one's called Savant, and this is your own personal workspace. This studio here, of course, where this is physical distancing. This enables you to work from home and has it's your own complete space. Right now, everybody's doing Zoom meetings, and I think the next wave of furniture will be to incorporate a studio, complete with probably lights and a little attachment where you can put your camera in there.
Absolutely, I think that is the direction that we seem to be going. I'm going to ask you about where the brand is headed in terms of where we are now in dealing with this pandemic. I just wanted to jump a couple of steps back. Is there any one gadget, object, piece of furniture, thing that you found indispensable over the past few months? What is that thing that has made you sort of say, hey, I couldn't have moved forward without this object or this gadget or innovation?
Well, sort of saying the obvious, it's everybody's hand phone, because that's the only way to be connected.
I
think it's all the pieces. Yeah, I think it's all the pieces that allow you to go from indoor to outdoor. I think not everybody has the luxury, of course, to spend time outdoors, but we all know that's the way to go, and that's the way going forward, where we spend more time outdoors. We know that the virus has a hard time coping with outside air, and I think we'll see more of that indoor and outdoor living.
That's true. Well, I'm going to transition now to our next point of discussion. Let's talk about your brand. How have you guys been affected by what's going on out there? I mean, there's the cancellation of international trade fairs, tourism and construction is halted. Being out there in the international scene and really pushing Filipino materials and our design and aesthetic, that's your wheelhouse. And now that area of development has sort of come to a standstill, so to speak. How are things looking for you, and where is the brand headed? How are you dealing with what's going on?
Yes, that's right. So all the shows were canceled, including Milan, which is the biggest design fair in the world. But I think it's a very welcome pause. I think we were just producing too much designs. There was the pressure of the market to always create something new without even thinking whether we need another design or we need this chair. There was just too much out there. And I think it's just right that all the designers around the world take a pause and see, hey, what are we doing? Is this really essential? Is this important to how we live? And I think that the challenge later on will be to see how, in fact, of course, how to adapt to the new norm, but also what kind of design should we produce in the next years. And short of saying that we're going to use more plastic because synthetic surfaces are easy to disinfect and all that, I welcome it as a challenge, in fact, to still use our natural materials moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. We're opening, our viewers or people joining our stream we're opening up, of course, our live comment section. If they've got any questions that they want to throw our way, we've got a question here from Nico Garcia. He wants to know, is there any point in your life where you got burnt out creatively? And I think all creative people may have hit those points. And I think you were kind of touching on that. Maybe we are at a point where we need to sort of take a bit of a rest and recharge. Have you ever felt this way? Did you ever feel burnt out?
Oh yeah, several times. In fact, there'll be actually a year or so where there's nothing exciting, nothing nothing really coming out. And I think it's natural to just take a rest. And I'm really thankful to my design team. They're great. They've been helping me, and with all the craftsmen too. I have three or four designers, in fact, coming from Binil, where I used to teach, and they're great, and they keep me. They keep me motivated. They keep me challenged. They push me actually to create new designs, and I'm very thankful that they're there. So it's always very helpful to work within a team, because then you bounce off ideas from each other, and they give you that encouragement, that support.
Fresh eyes, fresh approaches, and that sort of thing.
Yes.
I think one thing that we can say about this pandemic is, it's often been said that it's been this great disruptor, this great accelerator, even of again, going back to what you were saying, we were at a point where we were robotically just reacting to the market. Every year there's a show. Every year you create new designs. Every year you create designs for the show, but at a certain point, you have to. Do we ask ourselves, are we just simply creating for the show, or are we creating to answer a need that's there? I mean, design is a solution, isn't it? You receive a brief and you respond to that with a solution.
That's right. Yeah. And that's the question we should all ask. And for a couple of years, I mean, in the last years, we were just making designs for the market, without really, it's just new for the sake of being new, without really thinking about the product, about its function, about its use, and about its importance in the world of design.
Right. So actually, we're entering. If you were to look at a silver lining, we're entering a great opportunity here, where creative minds are really sort of going to be put to the test here, and really asked to create something fresh, something new, because we are living in conditions that are unlike anything that we've ever experienced before, where we're actually taking on a fresh brief, a fresh challenge.
That's right, and we're spending more times in our homes, and so we kind of know how people live, how we want to live, what's important in life, and it's really interesting and exciting what designers will come out with after this pandemic.
Okay, we are first and foremost, though, in the middle of a pandemic, and we need to sort of figure out how to make it through to the other side. We touched on the idea of the design mindset, and I don't know if I was on the right track describing it as being methodical, seeing the problem, receiving the brief, and coming up with solutions to that. In that sense, how do you use your designer's mindset or designer's approach to weather crisis? And I'm sure this isn't the first crisis that you've had, or first challenge that you've had to take on.
No, we do a lot of brainstorming. Let me check some of the slides and see if I can give you examples, in fact, of how the process from ideas to product. So this is some of the things that we've been toying around with too. This is a mask, trying to see if we could do some really finely woven a mask, of course. And I think it's good to now. This is a design which we did about 2 years ago, and they're inspired by chemicals, by the tools used in the chemists.
Beakers,
something like beakers and all the plants. And of course, I think surrounding ourselves with things that are natural, that are green. This is a leaf sofa which we were supposed to present in. It's called Sage. We were supposed to present this in Milan. This is a new sofa, and we go on. Yeah, and this is one of those things we designed, and it's an installation for a hotel. And there you see there's physical distancing there where people sit on all four sides,
Yeah.
not facing each other. This is inspired, of course, by islands, and yeah. And can we go on? Yeah, and of course, this is again, this is the peacock design, where you see again with this little tall thing that and these are standalone chairs. And we've been doing that ever since, even before the pandemic, and I think you'll see more and more of these kinds of designs coming out.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, your style is certainly your own, and I think many people who are attuned to design will take a look at something that you've done and say, hey, that's Kenneth's work, and that bears the hallmark of Kabonpue. I'm thinking more organic, a real sort of sense of connection with natural materials. You've taken old world craftsmanship techniques and materials and really taken it into very modern use. Very organic designs, I think. And we're now in a time when there is how would you say, an interest, like you said, in synthetics, in plastics, in very clean, hygienic surfaces, in almost very sort of clinical design. Do you see your aesthetic moving with that or changing with that movement in people's aesthetic preferences and tastes?
I think we'll have to incorporate some of that because from a functional standpoint. Can we go back to that slide again of the office, that big office space? So I just want to show you what our world is like.
Right. I mean, we're living in the
one with the long table. Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. So the world we designed. This is my my study space. So the world we designed is very organic. It's like this is indoors, but it's no different from being outside. And that's, there's a chair, the Yoda there that looks like grass, we have a little stuffed porcupine there. Everything is very organic. And even the table there looks like a cactus, the lamp there. So what I try to do is try to blur the distinction between inside and outside. So when you step into your apartment, into your home, it's like you're still outside. And I think that nature is the best, is the, no one can beat God when it comes to creating something. and this nature is just beautiful because there's so much texture there, so much materials, there's this transparency, there's light, and that's what we try to do. I think in the going forward, we will try to incorporate then more synthetics so that, of course, they can be clean, they can be disinfected. We're already doing that with outdoor, of course, with outdoor furniture. This is a sofa bed just designed, inspired by the movie Up. And you have all these, it's like these balloons. Again, this canopies, this having your own personal, distinct, very personal space is going to be very important.
Right. I think, like we said, you're sort of invoking these feelings of security, feeling secure, but at the same time doing it in a beautiful way. And I like the way you pointed out that this particular design that we've got on screen was inspired by a great movie, Up. It perhaps relates to this question from our audience. Davey Azores asks, how do you ideate? What is your design process? Obviously, you mentioned being inspired by movies. I'm sure that's just one of the things that you take inspiration from. Where does the germ of an idea begin? I think germ was probably a poor choice of words, but where do these ideas start? I mean, you watch a great movie, you read a great book, maybe you look at a plate of salad and you focus on a little piece of lettuce or vegetable there and think, oh, that would make a great chair. Is that how it works for you?
Yeah, these ideas come from everywhere. They come from a particular, from travel, from dreams, from anything I've read, from movies we've watched. And so ideally now with the design team, the process is a bit different. So I have an idea, or somebody from the design team has an idea and puts this idea forward. and then we talk about it, and then we discuss. And it's important for them to also research and find out whether there are other products like that outside. So I encourage them to go on the net and see, has this been done, or is there something close to it? It's important to know what's out there. And then they start to make sketches, and then they bring it back to me. I choose a couple, we go back again. So this goes back and forth until we get an idea down. And then we start building models, we start building prototypes. And our work is very three-dimensional. So it's very important that we feel it. Then we start to work with the craftsman who starts to make a particular skin, a weave on it. And then these two come together. And this process can sometimes take a year. Well, actually, it does. Most of it takes really like a year, and some even more. And so, yeah, and we really work within a team now. And I think that's very important. It's very different from how I used to start, when I used to do almost everything alone. And now it's great that we have a team, and we encourage and we support each other.
Okay, is there any particular favorite part of the process? I mean, I when I have my little projects, I love doing it. I love getting my hands dirty and actually getting busy with it. I find that to know how it's going to end up is already a foregone conclusion. I like the actual, like you said, it might take a year of processing, refining. Let's change this weave. Let's make a small adjustment here. Let's make this a little taller. Let's make this a little shorter. What's your favorite part of the design process?
I think it's seeing the ideas come to life, of course, to being able to sit on it, to finally see it, and then to finally, and there's usually something that's a bit off, something which we correct. And sometimes it takes that one element to finally say, this is it. And that's my favorite process. That thing doesn't always come, but there's that little twist, or there's a little shift. It can be a color, it can be material, it can be a particular form. And then we say, that's it, we got it. That's my favorite part.
The eureka moment. Okay, I'm gonna take a question here from our audience. Yeah. Nico Peña asks, hello, do you have any advice for persons that want to delve into industrial design, coming from other fields of design or even engineering, especially at a time like this? I mean, I know that you're a car aficionado, Kenneth. You love your cars, and cars are beautiful things, and I think those are all very related fields. Cars are very designed things. Cars are highly engineered. Can these associated disciplines, can you move from interdisciplinary fields, engineering, fine art, into industrial design? How do these fields sort of relate, and what advice do you have for people who want to sort of cross over and almost cross-train between disciplines?
Well, I think the best industrial designers I've met come from other fields. In fact, I think it's great when you mix engineering, when you have mechanical engineering, or other fields, even sculpture or painting or fine arts. I think that's I think that's great. Because industrial design is really a cross-disciplinary field, and it's important that I think the best industrial designer in the world would be, I think, Da Vinci. He was an inventor, a thinker, a poet, a painter, and he was a true Renaissance man. And I think that's who an industrial designer should be. That he takes all different disciplines and fields and creates something that the world can, the world appreciates, the world can enjoy, and it's actually something that's relevant and important in the world.
Or as you said, is something that betters and beautifies the world at the same time. This term, the low-touch economy, this is something that's been bandied around a lot. It's a term that's been thrown around a lot. This is how we're describing our new normal, or the term that some prefer is the next normal. Low-touch economy is characterized by reduced physical interactions between employees and consumers, hence low-touch, physical distancing, the need for greater focus on hygiene and that sort of thing. You've already touched a little bit about how you intend to sort of roll with those new requirements of design, taking a look at synthetics, integrating materials that are easily cleanable and easily disinfected. What do you think the role of designers is in the new normal or the new low-touch economy?
I think the challenge, of course, in a low-touch economy is this, that we become very impersonal, and there's less human interaction. I think it's up to designers to make, to try to keep to make this connection possible, and at the same time have your own personal space. So I think that we'll see more and more of these kinds of spaces. This is a pod we did for the Nobu in Las Vegas, and there you have a very defined personal space. I think we're going to see a lot more custom design coming out there. You're going to see that in a lot of hotels, a lot of restaurants, which is good for the design industry in the Philippines. Here we go. Next slide, please. And you're going to see, of course, more. This is a design which I did, which again has that little pod. This is an indoor-outdoor chair, and it's made of synthetic material at the back. This is again an outdoor chair, and so you can see that the pieces that I do are quite big, and they allow you to have your own personal space and then come together again to have this communal communal space. I think that we are going to see more of this again, indoor and outdoor living. We know that ventilation is very important now in the new normal. And just like this here, that you're actually indoors, but you allow a lot of wind, a lot of fresh air to come in. Yeah.
And I think that's particularly important considering where we find ourselves now. Some people might argue is very, very directly connected to the way we've treated the planet. People have theorized that we find ourselves in the midst of this pandemic because of the way we haven't maybe respected nature as much as we should have, given animals the space and respect that we should have. And I know you have a strong affinity for nature and try to bring that into your designs. I mean, you were talking about creating organic, natural spaces through the designs that you create. Oftentimes, I think maybe some designers might be thought of, or design in general might be thought of as somewhat frivolous at a time when we all seem to be concerned with surviving, with making it through this pandemic. I don't think people appreciate the unseen role that design has in moving us forward. Industrial design or design in general has a bigger role to play than just making things pretty or making things beautiful. I think that's obviously an important aspect of design, but it's not the only thing that design is for. What role do you see design playing in moving us forward? We're not just addressing health here; we're addressing important social issues as well. And design has always played an important role in all of this.
I think, of course, design being the field of industrial design is very broad. It covers medical equipment, from anything from engineering to decorative products. And what I want to point out here is what role actually do Filipino designers play in this new pandemic, in the global world of design. Filipino design is always characterized by a few things, that a lot of it's handmade, a lot of it is handcrafted, a lot of it comes from natural materials. They're very tactile, very warm. And I think that the challenge now is to transform all these characteristics of Filipino design and create something that's going to transition us into the new normal. Now, what that is, I can't think right now of specific things. I believe that the future we'll have more custom design. We'll have a lot of restaurants will have to be redesigned to accommodate a new normal. We're going to see a lot of these dividers between that delineate different spaces, and I think we can do a lot of that using our beautiful weaves and textures. I think now that more and more people spend time in the house, baking, cooking, you're going to see a lot of things that people see that, hey, why didn't someone think of this or that, or because now we spend more times in our home. We
Mhm.
see we work from home. We do our Zoom meetings from home, and we're going to see a lot of things that we need. Right when they took a poll from all these appliance stores right after
Mhm.
quarantine ended, and they found out that most people bought electric fans and
Mhm.
appliances, home electronic appliances.
Yeah.
And so the challenge now is for Filipino designers is how to turn these industrial products and give them something of a unique twist. I
Mm.
think to try to make them more sort of Filipino, so to speak, but
Yeah.
also to try to put this craftsmanship, this Filipino touch in all these products.
Yeah, interesting point there. Very valid. We got another question here. I'll throw this in from the audience. What will be the design approach to travel moving forward? What are your thoughts on travel? I don't know. The kind of bags that we have, the kind of travel gear that we wear, the kind of jackets. I saw a very interesting mask design where it was actually transparent or translucent. I think so far it's been
Yeah.
one of the most interesting or useful and at least different approaches to what will be our everyday part of our everyday travel equipment. What do you see? What are some of your ideas or thoughts on the design of travel?
I think that well, I dread to think, what travel will be like if you have to wear all these, all these PPEs and all these
Yeah,
masks and
yeah.
and face shields.
Mm.
So sort of answering that from a fashion standpoint, I think it's going to become very, very casual. Of course, very relaxed.
Mhm.
People are probably going to start wearing more, I guess, more blends of synthetics. And it's interesting to see what airport design will be like, because a lot of airports are really closed spaces, and it's very important. Then, of course, this is from a mechanical standpoint, to
Mm.
have fresh air pumped in and brought out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I think yeah, I haven't given travel much thought. It's the farthest from my mind right now,
Right. Right.
but I think we will see a lot of changes until we find a vaccine.
Yeah, interesting times ahead, that's for sure. Now, Kenneth, it's been a
Yeah.
real pleasure chatting with you. Perhaps one last, question or point that we can make here. What message or advice would you have to designers, to people, to companies that are worried about their future? I mean, we're all here faced with very uncertain times. Like you said, we're going to have to all pivot and adjust. I'm sure you're making changes. You said to the way that you approach your designs. You're making changes, I'm sure, to the way your products and objects are crafted. What advice do you have for people? How do we apply this design mindset um, to solving this worry that we all have about
Hmm.
what the future holds for us?
Hmm. I think that well, first of all, the home market is strong. Like in the United States, actually, the market, of course, in the lower end of the market is very strong. And I think, again, that's because people spend most of their times in their home, and they see that, oh, I need this, or I'm missing this, and they buy, and they now invest more in their homes
Mhm.
because they spend most of their time in it. And I think that's good for companies and designers. And the challenge now will be how to design things going forward. I think I mentioned it already. What we can do as designers, and the challenge now will be how Filipino designers can play a role in the whole global world of design.
Mhm.
And not to worry, I haven't seen much good ideas anyway coming from on the international scene. I think designers were caught unaware, and many of them have had designs on the plate already that they have to finish. And I think that's going to be a challenge for all of us, how to bring Filipino craftsmanship, design, the skills of our people, our culture, and incorporate them into this into designs and products and spaces for the new normal.
That is exciting to hear. I mean, really, sort of, it's really your battle cry. It always has been, is to take these challenges, turn them into opportunities to really sort of fly the Filipino flag high and highlight our creativity, our skills, our aesthetic, our materials, our craftsmanship, and really sort of bring the Filipino designer and craftsman to the world stage. I want to say thank you so much to Kenneth Cobonpue for sitting down with us, chatting. I think everybody has found this chat very, very interesting and very, very fitting to the theme of today's celebration, World or International Industrial Design Day. Thank you so much, Kenneth. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you, Paulo, and thank you for everyone out there. Keep on designing, keep on thinking how we can move forward, how we can get back our lives and stay safe and strong. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. Super, super interesting conversation there with design legend Kenneth Cobonpue. Very, very interesting points of view on the design process and where design is going moving forward. All right, now we've been talking a lot and in depth about everyday objects and our relationship with them, but let's switch gears a bit. During the pandemic, among so many other things, quaranthings was coined. This is a term that refers to activities that have become staples in our everyday life in self-isolation. So we have a poll, another poll, and we asked you, which quarantine do you think should be retained in the so-called new normal? Let's see what we've got. Okay, we got some fine print here. Going to pull out the glasses. What quarantine should be retained in this new so-called new normal? Work from home, of course. This looks like it's going to be one of those things that is here to stay. 86% of you guys thought that was one of the things that will be carried over. Wine nights via video calls. Also, again, a very important quarantine. I don't think I'm alone in enjoying a couple of drinks with friends from separate locations, all toasting each other at the same time. 8% of you guys said wine night should be carried over. And banana bread baking, again, very much aware of this phenomenon. Baking, I think, in general, has just been a huge thing. Banana bread baking, 5%. I like the sense of humor there. But again, also very true. There has been a lot of baking activities that sort of made its way into the everyday as far as quarantines are concerned. Now, as Undersecretary Makatoman said earlier, we look to historical examples to inform what we do in the future. With your valuable inputs for Design Center's crowdsourcing efforts, which ask for your design ideas for a new normal-ready world. Here's a glimpse of the future, and let me tell you, the ideas, like yours, it looks like we're all set for a design-led tomorrow. Let's check out this video called Disenyo ang ating kinabukasan. Great video there. Quite literally, the design of the future, disenyo ng ating kinabukasan. Before we bid adieu, we have one final poll whose top answer I can confidently guess the answer to. We asked you guys, are you excited for Design Center's next? 83%. So excited. Very excited about move forward with this next to sort of move this discussion forward. It's been a great conversation so far, and I am certainly looking forward to the next step here, because I am sure Design Center has so many exciting conversations in store, like its signature events, the International Design Conference happening in September, and Design Week Philippines in October. So, you know, exciting events and some exciting solutions to work around this new normal, or next normal, as we keep calling it. So please do follow their social media accounts. We're going to be flashing them on screens. On the upcoming events and initiatives. Now, we'd like to say thank you to our event partners. Of course, we'd again like to thank Adobo Magazine, The Word on Creativity, and the Benildian Industrial Designers, or BIND, the De La Salle College of St. Benil's official organization for industrial design students. Thank you for celebrating World Industrial Design Day with us. IDX Conversations, but as we log off and look here to chat with all of them, is a force of good. Remember that, everyone. Center of the Philippines, I should say. This has been your host, Paolo Obrera, thanking everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.